I've got a plan. I was like, we're gonna hire a PR person and book meetings, and we're not gonna go. Instead, we're just gonna send a lady, we're gonna paint her black and white, butt naked, and have her present this box to them without uttering a word, as though she's like a character from our universe. My dad worked for KFC, so I was just kind of following the chicken. They started calling me play football in the park. I was so innocent and I thought that was just like a swag name for me. So I was like, yeah, mom, like they call me and she's like, ooh, like. When we tested the subs, dust was just raining from the roof. It was super bootleg.
To me, sweatier is the better.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude, when the walls are a little wet afterwards, you're like, something was accomplished.
Call yourself experienced designers, right?
Yeah, a little self-indulgent. I did engineering before music, like typical brown kid, just slamming that.
Use like your engineering skills to create these like orbs that when you hit them, they light up.
With Will on one side, me on the other, they kind of talk to each other. I sampled this oi hoi, count all these rupees, yeah, I'm on it, oi hoi. So I played it for Aisha and she loved it. And every time I'd walk by her room when I was home that Christmas, she would be bumping it and she would always do the oi hoi.
What's up, DOST? My name is Rajid. Today I'm here with MEMBA, one half of its members, Ishaan Chaudhary. Welcome, man. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. How we doing?
I'm doing good. Tell me about your tour, man. You just got started?
Yeah, so we are currently doing the Inevitable End Tour, which is kind of a live experience using these 2 inflatable drums that we made.
Yeah.
And we just did Dallas and Austin last weekend, and we're about to do Chicago, Minneapolis, and then Webster Hall in a few weeks, which is, I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth, honestly.
Is it feel like the time has come though? Because I know in 2020, when you were doing the original tour, everything got canceled, right?
Yeah. So it was pretty devastating, honestly, because like 2019 was kind of our breakout year or whatever, where things started moving and we were actually getting bookings. And we scheduled our first headline tour for 2020, right? Feb, which was in hindsight a pretty wild time to try and schedule a tour. And we built the instruments for it back in 2018 and had this vision for this kind of live, like immersive, theatrical sort of show.
You guys call yourself experienced designers, right?
Yeah, a little self-indulgent of a title, but I did engineering before music, like typical brown kid, just slamming math, but decided to take a U-turn, but still like to apply some of the things I learned, in engineering school and stuff to music, and mostly in the form of like weird and wonderful experiences and ways to augment like the musical experience. Because for me personally, like it's the one thing I can do anytime, and suddenly like time and just perspective like moves differently. Like I'm so in flow, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow, like this is all happening just through listening. And I was like, I wonder how I could make it feel like this, but also like for other people hearing it for the first time, like walking in the space and really like experiencing the music through more than just their ears was kind of the idea. And then we've been exploring it in a bunch of different ways.
And so I know you use like your engineering skills to create these, like you're saying, these like drums, these orbs that when you hit them, they light up.
Yeah.
Now, is that sound produced right as you hit them, or is it
so they're basically MIDI drums. So there's 4 Roland drum triggers you can buy off the shelf, and they're mapped to MIDI, so they can be mapped to any sound. And then we have a custom light interface where we can actually map the envelope of the light to match the envelope of the sound. So if it's like an 808, like a doom, then the light will go slower. And if it's like a fast sound, like a snare or something, like a tap, then the light will be quick. So that way we kind of thought it's cool because you can visualize the rhythm, and our music's very, very rhythm focused. So with Will on one side, me on the other, they kind of talk to each other, and we play different parts. And sometimes we play the same thing and we just layer sounds. And sometimes it's like we play the opposite kind of moment. So you can kind of almost see the rhythm like talking on stage.
So since you're in a duo, and all these creative experiences are being put together, how do you and Will go through that process, and who takes what role on each side of that?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a bit more inclined with the weird and wonderful pushing sort of thing, and Will's just the best and super like indulgent, and he's actually a way better like percussionist and stuff than I am. So it's fun because I help come up with a lot of the designs and stuff, and then we kind of play through them together and try and figure out which parts we want to highlight in the rhythm. And I mean, honestly, it's pretty crazy because I met him 8 years ago, and we just decided to do a random session at my house. And now we've jammed every single day for 8 years since, I think. So we're almost at a
Jeez.
point where we don't really need to like talk to communicate. We
Yeah.
just kind of like get each other. So yeah, I feel like everything's quite I don't know, made through symbiosis or something.
Yeah. Was that symbiosis achieved right away, or was that something you guys really worked on over the years? And
It's funny because we used to go to a music school called Spot, and I jam with
gotcha.
just like everybody there because I felt like I learned the most from just other students rather than like class. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when Will and I jammed, it was just so on the same page. Like we kind of have the same taste, and we were both really moved by like world music and African rhythms and Indian rhythms,
Absolutely.
especially. So yeah, I feel like it was kind of there, but through, 4 or 5 years of just being in the same room, and really time just does amazing things. I feel like it kind of developed, but there was some organic
Yeah.
connection there to begin with for sure.
But it's like truly worldwide because you're from New Delhi, right?
Yes.
And he's from Oregon?
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon.
Yes.
How does that happen? How do these two guys from opposite ends of the earth become a music duo that's now touring across the country and playing what, EDC? And
Yeah, we got EDC in the books and a few others. Honestly, I think about that a lot. Like,
yeah.
I've also just never lived in a place more than 6 years. I've kind of
Mhm.
always been hopping all my
Yeah.
life. So I really feel like there is some sort of universal flow or like destiny sort of thing where certain people and certain energies are like meant to meet and be together. So I think it wasn't by chance. I think it needed to happen,
Yeah.
for both of us, kind of thing.
And I know you were moving in again back and forth from New Delhi to London, right? And then back and forth your whole life until you decided to go to college.
Yes,
correct?
my dad worked for KFC, so I was just kind of following the
Wow.
chicken.
Yeah,
I spent 6 years in New Delhi. That's where I was born. I went to Delhi public school, represent for a little bit, and then I
Yeah.
moved to England. I went to public school. I got egregiously bullied, so I moved to private school. And then I moved to Holland and went to a British school in Holland, and for
Wow.
4 years. And then I moved back to India for the last 4 years of high school, so like 10th grade through senior year. And I went to an American school. So I've been to public, private, international, British, American, and Indian school.
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. It's like I feel like that's reflected in our music
Absolutely.
to a large degree, just a little bit of everything in there.
Well, with that, I know you did experience moments of racism and like from there's a film that we'll dive into, but you got Paki a few times and a few other things. How old were you at the time when like you started experiencing that? And how do you process that being a kid from India, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was like 6.5, 7, and yeah, they started calling me Paki when we played football in the park, and I
Yeah.
thought I was so innocent and naive. I thought that was just like a swag name for me.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, mom, like they call me Paki, and she's like, ooh, like she's like, that's not a good thing. And then she
Yeah.
explained it to me. I was like, shit, man. So I guess I'm different, I didn't really
Yeah.
like clock that I was till then. But I don't know, going through those experiences kind of made me realize a lot in who I am and who I want to be, and made me realize that, other people and cultures can be afraid of just different things. And I think that's kind of stuck with me. It's just like, it was freeing because it's made me realize that I can pick and choose what I want to be, and I don't have to be like their thought of how I should be or how brown people should be
Yeah.
in any way. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of the conversation is, I mean, a lot of folks go, "Oh, I'm too brown for the white, or too white from the brown," which is like, well, that's not really the real thing. Is like you're just who you are,
Yeah.
and you're an amalgamation of your experiences, and nothing is like invalid, right?
No, you said it so well. Yeah, it's all about what you've experienced and kind of where you've been. I feel like there's so many ways to be brown, like there's so many ways to be white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's no one stereotype, and I think trying to fit everyone in a box in any way, shape, or form is just an atrocious thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so with your life, as I dived into it, I spent a lot of this weekend crying. Like, actually, I was with my girlfriend. We watched this movie that was made about one of your dear family members, your sister. And it goes over the tale. The movie's called The Sky is Pink. And it kind of covers your experience between your mother and father growing up with your sister who had a disease,
SCID, severe
SCID.
combined immunodeficiency,
Severe-
which developed into pulmonary fibrosis through her
Mhm.
treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really showed, I think, from their perspective, the grief that parents go through. And it also kind of tapped into like what you were going through, which was like just doing your best to be a good brother, trying to keep your head in the right space. And it kind of sprinkled in your love for music growing up. How do you feel like that experience kind of shaped you either musically or just generally, you know?
Honestly, just so much. Like I'm very, very grateful still, despite how horrible it was, that, you know, Aisha did get the life she did. Because I feel like if she wasn't born into our family with my mom and dad how they are, she wouldn't have even made it to 18, you know. And what she did in 18 is more than what most people can do in a lifetime. And I am fortunate in many ways, and I really struggle with survivor's guilt from it in so many forms. And I'm, you know, still going to therapy and trying to like understand all those parts of myself and whatever. But I think my main takeaways from it were really understanding like mortality and using the knowledge that you know, life is limited and everybody will die, but looking at it as a positive thing rather than a negative thing, where that means that like the little trivial fights and little things that you may be concerned about don't really matter, and it kind of puts what matters, you know, more in perspective. And when I was a teenager, I really struggled to accept the fact that she was dying, because having the like diagnosis, like she has pulmonary fibrosis, uncurable, and she's gonna die in 5 years, and I was like 14, you know. So it's like when you're that young trying to digest that thing, I just lost myself in philosophy. I read a lot about existentialism and Buddhism, and I think my main takeaway was that, you know, life is meaningless. And I originally became fully atheist. I was just so angry with the world and with, like, I was like, how can a God let something like that happen to someone so sweet, you know? And meanwhile, I'm still just doing what I'm supposed to do. Like I just kept trying in school still, because I didn't want to be more stressed for my parents, you know? So I just really wanted to be like the good kid, just rocking steady. So I would kind of, you know, put my head down, do the thing. And I think if Aisha hadn't been in the situation that she was, and I hadn't have learned from her death and her life, then I don't think I would have done music. Because I'm good at school. I was really good at math, just ding, 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 dude, just sliding through, you know, all those classes fine. And I did engineering school, and I think I would have probably just rocked steady, you know, and done music on the side, because I always found myself attracted to it. But I don't know if I would have had the courage to fully U-turn out of those degrees and be like, I'm just gonna make beats every day, you know? Because for an Indian, it's pretty terrifying. You're told doctor, lawyer always, and if you're able to do it, it's like, why not just do it and be peaceful? But I think her life push me to be me and to really like chase what makes me happy in life, ultimately.
You know, in her last 3 years, she was giving speeches and talks and really inspiring people. Was that kind of the moment for you where you said, I can go do that with what I like to do best?
Yeah, I mean, I was still like just struggling on a day to day, especially near the end when she, you know, trying to be in college and like have fun and go to frat parties when you know that's happening is just really like difficult and strange. And I've definitely got incredibly good at compartmentalizing, but it was just a really difficult like period. And I don't think that's when it happened. I think it was more after she passed away that I realized, because, you know, I was in the room and like seeing someone that you love like pass away in front of you, something you never forget, you know. And almost every moment of every day, it's like something that I've learned to live with. And now I'm 7 years out, and I just got a tattoo to says for Aisha, and it even has we made a little mistake in it, and I kept the mistake in it too. And you know, this represents a lot for me, because it makes me feel like I've accepted my grief. Like I know it's never going anywhere. And rather than, because it has this force that feels paralyzing, like it grabs you and makes you not want to do anything and makes every little decision and just getting up in the morning difficult. But what I've decided to do is the harder thing, which is get up and like give it a go. Because it's like, if I'm going to live, then I want to know that I lived hard, and I want to live for her too. And it's weird. I feel this connection to her. And sometimes I just know that like, she would be like, oh, just stop. Just like cut it out, bro. Just get in there, you know?
Yeah.
So I try and hold that voice. I try and push myself to do the hard thing. And making music and going to shows and connecting with people and seeing that it means something to them really makes my heart feel full and happy. And yeah.
So in this movie, the movie's called Sky is Pink. You created a song for her on the soundtrack called
Oh, yeah.
Aisha. What's it like compartmentalizing those feelings of a song that's connected so deeply with everyone on a mainstream level, one, but two, also having, some of the greatest actors in Bollywood, like Farhan Akhtar and Priyanka Chopra, play these parts in your life while also, navigating that grief. Was that something that was hard for you, or how did you do that?
Oh my God. When they asked me to write the song, I was just like, you want me to choose notes on this keyboard to choose how I feel about my sister?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's impossible. I literally can't. There's no combination of notes on here that explains how I feel. And I was like, I can't do it. And then my mom was like, you need to do it, and I really think that you should, and give it a go, And then I spoke to the director, Shanali Bose, and she was really sweet and supportive the whole way and kind of gave me my space to figure it out. And then obviously I went to Will and was like, man, they're asking me to write this song for Aisha, and I'm terrified, like what should we do? Let's just start writing some beds. So the way I approached it was, first, I just wanted to know that the emotion of it, like, kind of at least touched towards how I felt, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to capture it. So I was like, at least put that expectation away.
Yeah.
And so I, sat at the keyboard for a while and just tried to pick notes in it. And I was curious with how can I make it seem happy? Because I was like, everyone expected to be this sad, mournful thing probably, but I was like, really, her life wasn't like that. Like, she lived hard. Like, for 18, she did so much, and that's kind of the energy that I'm trying to channel in my life too. So I was like, how can I make major sound sad, Yeah. So I was looking, and I kind of found the first to the third movement kind of felt the most sad, because the third is kind of a minor chord in it. So played around, and I made 16 different ones, and then Will made a couple too, and we listened to both. And then after a while I was like, I don't like it. And then after maybe 20, I was noticed that I was actually writing the same notes in 4 or 5 of them. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is what it is. So I just went with what was the most common. And then once I had the bed, I had this idea, which was the oi hoi.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, so the oi hoi is it was actually in this rap song called Counting Rupees. So when I lived in Brooklyn at the time, I just moved here, and I just started doing sessions with Will, and we found these two Brooklyn rappers, and they came over, and we had this beat, and it was called Counting All These Rupees, yeah, I'm on it. Posted on the block, yeah, I'm on it. And it was this really funny Goonie rap song. Terrible mix, terrible beat, but I found this, I sampled this oi hoi, and I put it in the rap beat. So they're counting all these rupees, yeah, I'm on it. Oi, oi, I'm on it. Oi, oi. So I played it for Aisha, and she loved it. And every time I'd walk by her room when I was home that Christmas, she would be bumping it, and she would always do the oi, oi. And I just remember her face, when she would do that. So I knew, I was pre-drop right before the chorus, it's gonna go oi, hoi, and then go into something. And then the song kind of slowly revealed itself from there. We wrote the chorus, and we had the instrumental, and then I really wanted the Naran sisters on it. I mean, they're having a big moment on TikTok, but before all that, just Highway, the album they did with A.R. Rahman, that was one of my favorite things to be made in recent history. So I was like, is there any chance? And the directors and Sid Roy Kapoor's team was so good that they were able to actually get them. I was just jaw on the floor, but they needed, us to kind of write the thing. So Will and I went in the booth, and we're like, da ba da ba da ba da ba da da da, just mumbling through what the chorus is now. And then we hired this lyricist called Anvita Dutt, because my Hindi's good, but I kind of sound like a 6-year-old kid because I left when I was 6. So she's really talented, can do Punjabi and all these different languages. So she wrote the Umara Misariya Jilaya, and beautifully expressed what was needed to along the cadence that Will and I kind of mumbled out.
Can you explain what that translates to?
It's basically synesthesia. It's I've lived all the lifetimes, I've tasted everything, I've heard everything, and I'm good. It's in the YouTube visualizer. You should probably just run that for people. That'll probably cut it to it clearer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what was that like for Will's perspective, writing a song that was super sensitive to you, but also I guess for him there was some experience on the cultural side, but what was
Yeah,
that? Do you
yeah.
know what his experience was like?
I mean, dude, he went through hell and back for me on that one. Like so after we had the lyrics and everything, I recorded the English parts with Emmy in New York. We flew to LA, had some writing sessions there, and then I was like, I have to go to India to finish this
Yeah.
because I just need to be there. So we went to India, went to Mumbai, hired a studio for a week, and like Will got mad sick. I mean, the first few days he was good, but we were rocking such late night sessions. We had the Naran sisters fly out and recorded in the studio with them. And we had this Basuri flute player come and play through all of the other kind of cadences and mesh that into the piece, which really added a lot. The sessions were like some I'll never forget. They were so inspiring and incredible, and we really were onto something in that room. But Will one day ordered some biryani or something from this place, and I didn't get it because I thought it was sus as hell.
Well, we
But
know.
yeah, he decided to get it. And I was like, "You sure, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." And he ate it, and then he was out. Like he got some like stomach issue, classic situation, but he was on the couch like this, and like we had two kids choirs come in to sing the part because kids choirs are one of my favorite sound in the world, and they felt like they encapsulated that innocence that Aisha really had. So he would be on the keyboard like, yeah, sing ding, like, you know, playing sa, like doing all that stuff in the corner while just like KO'd. So yeah, I mean, he's just the best, and I couldn't have done it without him or Emmy.
Did you warn
Anyway.
him before coming to the country, like, yo, this is
I
a possibility?
honestly didn't. I told him like
You
Jelly
just told
Belly's
him.
part of the experience, bruv. Like you may be pooping funny, you know, it
Yeah.
happens to everybody, but it's just whatever. And he's actually really calm about that kind of thing. Like he doesn't get too stressed preemptively. He's not that kind of person. But
Yeah.
even we went and shot Schools Out as well. And in that one, I took him to Dharavi, which is the largest slum in the world. And we took him deep in. And like we didn't work with actors, we just worked with local kids and like the local people there. So he was really literally in the thick of like the dirtiest slums in India.
Yeah.
And he hung in there. He got sick there as well, unfortunately. He like pulled his hamstring or something. So he has a bad track record. So we need to get back to India and have him have like a relaxing, like pleasure, calm trip.
Was Schools Out his first experience in India? And is it both of your first times actually producing a music video in India?
Yeah, that was the first time.
What was that like, and where did that like inception? What was the inception of that idea?
Yeah, I mean, Schools Out was trying to capture like the innocence of childhood, you know, just that feeling of wonder where the whole world's shiny and fresh kind of thing. So we wrote the song a while ago, and we recorded all these organic sounds. Like there's this one shitty couch in our studio, and most of the drums are like us just slapping the corner of that couch and layering it with some kick drums. So we were really happy with the track, and then the Foreign Family guys loved it. And I told them like my vision for it was always shooting this story in India where kids find a phone and you kind of follow POV their day, just like, you know, experiencing it. And the guys loved it so much, they were down to kind of fund the idea. And we hired an amazing team out there and just kind of sent it. And Will had never been, so we went to Delhi first, stayed at my house, and did some sessions with some amazing like local musicians, and it was an amazing trip.
Yeah.
We still use samples from that to this day.
You also directed that video?
Yes. Yeah.
So was that your first? Was that your first jump into directing?
Yeah, it really was. That was that one honestly was the best one too. I think I've just gone downhill since then.
Really?
Personally, that's what I think. But yeah, no, I also had a lot of help. Like we did that with Sean Kusanagi, who's the creative director for Odessa, and he's just such a talented dude and has a lot of experience under his belt. And the crew we had out there, this guy Manas, he was also like pretty incredible in front of the camera and taught me a lot. So it was really learning on the job, but I'm really fascinated with storytelling. And like I said, like multimedia stuff. So I love getting my fingers, you know, hands dirty.
You're an artist. You want to be everywhere, not just one thing,
I like getting involved.
So what's it like for you, you know, again, being from another country, moving to America, finding a partner in music, and then dropping music and then being recognized by like the guy likes of Oseza, and being supported by people like that, you know?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty surreal. Like I was the kid at shows just being like, oh man, imagine if I just got to stand backstage one time. Like
Yeah.
it would be so legendary. And I've just been so moved by electronic music and other stuff. Like when I was younger, it was more like screamo metal things. But you know, just shows have really made a big impact on my life. So now being able to be up there and do it consistently is very surreal. I'm pinching myself often. I think now though, late stage career, like not late stage, but further along career, where it's like you've kind of been doing that stuff. I definitely get a bit more like anxiety around tickets and like, are enough people coming and is it as good as it was? And I definitely get caught in that mental rat race a lot.
Is it because of that gap because of COVID? Where
I
you felt
honestly
that
think
rise?
so, yeah, because it was just like, ooh,
Yeah.
you know, it's just kind of been like that the whole time, which is fine. I'm just grateful I get to do it at all. And, you know, I can writing a song like for Aisha and it being received so well is such a relief because I was terrified that I couldn't do it. So the fact that, you know, it really has resonated with a lot of people and we still get messages about it today really is so fulfilling and makes me feel like I have purpose in my life. So I'm really grateful to anyone that's listened. Like, thank you so much.
And that must be an insane feeling because like it's such a sensitive thing to be asked and then taking the time to do it, flying around the country to do that. And then the song drops and it's part of a movie and you're just like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And is that a bittersweet feeling when the song does really well, or does it feel great because you know that ode?
You know, that one felt really rewarding that it did well because it was one where I did like, I know what you're meant to do to get more streams. Like it should be shorter. You should get to the drop within 40 seconds. Blah, 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 blah. Every label says it every time. But for Aisha, I just chucked all that out the window and was like, how can I make something that feels like how I feel in a more positive perspective, but also something that Aisha would have got down to. And that was my main North Star, was like something I could imagine her in a room being like, oh yeah, like getting gassed. So that one felt like a relief. It's a 6-minute song. That's like wrong. Like you shouldn't in 2023 make songs that are so long and self-indulgent and winding. But that's also one of the gifts of Bollywood. They love a good random bridge. So I don't know. I feel very lucky and very hopeful that one did well because that makes me feel free. Like I can kind of write things however it doesn't have to necessarily be the formula for it to really rip.
It's so multifaceted. Like although it's electronic music, it's super
genre-wise, we're all over.
It's all over, and I love that, right? Because I was listening to Birdhouse on the way here, and I was like, the flute is insane, and I was like,
that's a cheeky one. No one knows about that.
Yeah, I it just like came up on my recommended because I was listening to Union, and then I was like, wait, and I heard the flute line. What's the story of that? Was it actually like recorded or?
No, that one was a sample we kind of crate dug out, and we had that. It's kind of like a goofy, fun little beat, and we had that sitting in the vault for so long. We were always like, we just listened to it, you know, for fun. It's just like a fun little vibe, but it never felt like it fit anywhere. And then Foreign Family decided to do this little collection where it was more just about like the songs that never would see the light of day unless they did that collection. So we were like, we have one. We have one for you. Yeah.
So is it just a given that, at least on your side or for a good chunk of your songs, that a not Bollywood, but just an Indian influence is going to be in it? Or
it's more like world dance music. I don't want to limit myself in any way, even with just Indian stuff. Like obviously I can't not because I'm obsessed with it and it's had a, you know, formative role in my life. But I like to think of us more as just like world dance music, you know, like kind of trying to blend things and cultures and sounds in ways that haven't been done before.
Oh, and you tease us with a little bit of Afro beats.
Exactly.
In this last one, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like,
no, we've been dabbling with a little like I've been really liking the Amapiano grooves and some stuff that's coming out of Africa right now. So we're just kind of, you know, really curious listeners of rhythm and what's bumping around the world and trying to get vocalists and people that wouldn't usually get on beats like this, you know, kind of thing. That stuff really excites me. It feels like I'm in some new uncharted territory.
And you do that in the song Back Online. If you could play it real quick. And like you're saying, it's truly global, but it's futuristic and gritty.
Yeah, this one's cool because it's like, you know, we wrote this with a lot of different friends. So my wife, Evan Giia, is singing on it. And she actually wasn't on it at first. It was a collaboration between us, Russian artist Bikla, and LA-based producer Pluko, who's also on Foreign Family and a good friend. So we've been writing with Pluko for ages, and we got in a session and we accidentally messed up and booked 2, and Bikla was also coming, so we're like, oh, let's just all do it together.
Just headbang.
Yeah, it just proves it. This also has a nice like UK kind of like 2-step garage feel to it, which I'm into a lot right now. But yeah, so you know, Pluko, Bikla, me and Will, we were all just kind of cooking and throwing ideas at the wall, and the boom ba dam played, and we all just go immediately. That was Will. He ripped that little line, and we all just paused and we're like, okay, like that feels like something. So we kind of honed in on that. And kind of got the rough bed. The outro is actually what the drop was. So that used to be the drop, and then we kind of took it away. And I love like reshaping ideas to hear like different ways that they could kind of sit, because context and what came before actually matters a lot, you know. So reshuffled a lot, and then Emmy heard it through because she works downstairs, we work upstairs. She heard it through the wall. Was like, what's that one though? She's like, I think I may have to write to that one. I was like, all right, go on. So we sent her the thing, and she's the one who kind of got the line of like, you put me back online, and that was it. We were like, okay, like this is a lock.
And that's when the through line for the song came through. We're like, oh, we're back online.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's say post-COVID, post the internet, you know, creating music together.
Exactly. That was it. It used to just be called online, and then she made it back online. I was like, that's what it was meant to be the whole time, dude. But that's the beauty of Union, is like these ideas that maybe Will and I wouldn't have got to, you know, without all these external influences. And I really wanted to try and use and work with people that have completely different perspective and cultural backgrounds. So I just feel like that adds even more spice and masala up in the mix.
And is that why you guys made an EP? Because you were experimenting with all these different worlds?
Exactly, yeah. Because we were like, okay, like let's just spend some time like really diving in and see like a new way to do things. And we're kind of finally gearing up to work on our debut album. And, you know, we've taken a long time not like to wait, because we were like, we wanted to make sure we're good at our craft, you know, and like feel like we can express ourselves properly. And at this point, we've been doing it together for 8 years and alone for over a decade in terms of just writing music. So I feel like we've definitely put our 10,000 hours, maybe times 5 in. So
definitely,
yeah. So I think we're finally ready. So Union was kind of our baby exploration of this world dance thing and trying to get other insights. And now I think we're gonna bunker in and start cooking on the next era.
Yeah, because I'd say your fans would be like, considering the live experiences you created, the music you've created, that the album is like a no-brainer at this point. And you know, one thing I want to touch on is a part of those live experiences is not just like an immersive listening party or the drums, but even your marketing campaigns are fucking insane.
Thanks, man.
Like you had a box, right, with different scents and flavors, and you had a naked kind of woman painted all in body paint, running around New York, speechless, going to different magazines, paper magazine and different publications to hand this box over.
So I think where we were in our career is pretty important. So this was our first EP. It's literally Saga 1, and it was 3 songs, and each song was paired with something you tasted, smelled, and drank. And it had this alien voice and a USB and 3 vials in it. So you put the USB in and it talked you through how to consume them. And as you listen, you were kind of drinking and tasting these things. So that was like, you know, kind of off what I mentioned earlier, just about trying to experience music through more senses and kind of like immerse yourself into that first listen. Because I feel like the first time you listen to a song like ties memories for me, you know, like, I don't know, like when I was in high school, hearing like, this is a stupid one, but like The Way I Are or like something, you know, and being at the first time I heard that was at a friend's house party. And it's just, I don't know, those moments like stick with you forever. So I was like, the first listen's so important. So how can we like augment this even more? And I was like, if you tie, this is getting a little literal, but in your brain, when you smell things, the smell center is really close to the memory center. So I was just trying to like think through ways to really make that first listen like super special and memorable. So we made this EP. And we handmade 50 boxes. So Will and I sat there, we filled each vial, put the song on each USB, bought boxes, put stickers. It took so long of manual labor, like for him and me to do. And then after we finished it, we were like, shit, so no one really wants these, dude. Like, what do we do with these? Like we made like 7 of these boxes. So I was like, we need to like, how do we get the word out? And like, just no one really knew about MEMBA. It was so early. So I was like, I've got a plan. I was like, we're going to hire a PR person and book meetings, and we're not going to go. Instead, we're just going to send a lady. We're going to paint her black and white, butt naked, and have her present this box to them without uttering a word, as though she's like a character from our universe. So it was kind of, that was kind of the thinking behind it. And then we went with her. It was really fun because we just wait outside and then she'd go in. And some of them like really didn't like it. Like the People magazine guy was not about it whatsoever. And it was absolutely hilarious. But the Paper magazine people really liked it. I mean, they didn't end up really writing about it, but it got their attention, and I don't know. It was just a really fun guerrilla marketing way. And I think that's something for anyone who's, writing music and is so proud of their thing and wants to like get it out there. Just like, don't do what everyone else does. Like, take a step back and think about something that would get you excited and be fun and be like crazy. If it feels crazy to you, and when you tell your friends, their eyes light up about it, you're probably onto something. So maybe think like that, and maybe it'll help like, get something going.
And I'm assuming, is all those things baked in from the marketing to the products to the music into the next project, or the way you want to market it? Or is that something still you're thinking about?
Well, we did this immersive party for Union. So it's kind of, we're still on our antics a little bit, back on the bullshit. But the LA immersive event was really special. Like we were able to take this idea. We actually did our first run of that immersive party in Brooklyn back in 2018. And to do it in LA leveled up was pretty incredible. Like we partnered with Brownies and Lemonade and
That's awesome.
the Immersive Arts Collective in LA, and managed to raise some funds to support the immersive arts, which was kind of like fulfilling. And there was all these different rooms, and you had to walk through and interact with all these characters. And if you interacted with them right, they'd give you a symbol. And once you got 3 symbols, you'd go into a room where this dude led you through a wardrobe. You go through the wardrobe, and then you had an intimate listening party with like 10 people where the EP was listed in front of you, and you got to pick one song to listen to. So it was again an attempt to make the first listen really memorable and special, because you're never going to forget, I heard Skybender through a wardrobe with these 10 random people, and we were all just getting down and dirty together, and then we did a show where we showcased the new show and just tested everything out in a tiny sweaty room where there'd never been a show done in there before. When we tested the subs, dust was just raining from the roof. It was super bootleg and really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know for most people, but to me, sweatier is a better.
Yeah, dude, when the walls are a little wet afterwards, you're like, something was accomplished.
Or if like, there's like too much fog in the room, you're like,
no, I definitely, I've realized now, I've told my team, keep the fog machine away from me, because I think I overfogged that. Like I just kept hitting it every drop, and I think that needs to be taken.
It's just a red button.
It's just too tempting, dude. Yeah.
I want to jump into one other song on the EP I really love. It's called "Apply the Pressure," where you get rappers on.
Yeah.
And I think it's my favorite one.
Dude. That's your favorite?
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite.
Let's go.
And you had Party Future and Vindon on it, and it's just I just want to know the story behind it.
Gunner anthem, man. I just remember when I lived in England, we used to go out to these raves, and there'd be these drum and bass nights, and everyone would dance like this, like that kind of thing. And you always have just the filthiest stank face on. Yeah. So we did a session with Party Favor in LA, and we had this whole song, and it was actually a rap song. Really. All right, we'll rep it. Yeah, it just gets you.
Because it dives into whoops, but it's also just like the beat is just still there, and
just so steady,
it keeps driving you towards it.
D&B fundamentals.
Yeah,
it was like I just realized like, oh shit, we never actually made a drum and bass song. And I just remember that era of childhood and just being so into the Gunner anthems. That's what we called them back then. The Gunner beats. So with Party Favor, this was a whole rap song. So Vindon did like 4 verses, like a hook, like so much stuff, and it was over a rap beat that we sent him like years ago.
Yeah.
And we always had the acapella, but we were like, our beat kind of sucks. So we just kept the acapella, and we played it for Party Favor, and he was like, dude, I feel like we should just take just a little piece. So then we started chopping it, looking, and then we found that. And we were like, oh, this gets you going immediately. So the rest of the song flowed really quick.
Yeah.
Like we had apply the pressure going, and then we hit the drop and jacked it up the D&B tempo. And yeah, the rest is kind of history, dude. That's it. Every time we play it out too, it's really fun. I love the halftime drop in the middle too, because that makes you want to kind of Bernie lean back on it.
Yeah.
And then when the last one comes around, it feels really like exciting because you've had to wait actually 2 minutes for it.
And what's great is because it subverts expectations, because the it's coming up, and then a lot of people expect something like,
Yeah.
but then it's just drum beat. And it's like, oh shit, I gotta get back in the mode for it.
Oh, I'm glad you like that one, man. Yeah.
What's your favorite one to perform from the new project?
Tough to say. Tough to choose between Children. Through the Ceiling is a perfect rail banger where we made it to be like in America, I've noticed people love doing this dance. You know what I mean? I don't know who
Americans don't know how to dance.
I don't know who told everyone about the rail dance, but people love it. And sometimes it's funny, like we'll be playing like Mumbai mode or something that's a bit more up tempo, and people still trying to rail ride, but it's not quite the right beat. So I was like, we need to have one on there that's just perfect, so they can just snap it in half when they get out there. And Through the Ceiling is ba 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 ba, you know, so it's perfect for that. So that one always feels good because I feel like people in America especially just know how to dance and lock into that one.
Yeah.
So that one feels good. Apply the Pressure always feels good. And surprisingly, Back Online's like a bit of a chill cruiser, but people have been singing it recently. Like at the Dallas and Austin shows, people are actually singing it back. Yeah. And there's no better feeling, honestly. Yeah. When
it comes to like writing the music, and actually I want to dive into this, you make a lot of your music with your wife.
Yeah.
How did that relationship start, and how did that become a musical dynamic, or was it the other way around at first?
Yeah, it was the other. There was no, Emmy wasn't doing music really when we met, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. So like Aisha passed away January 2015, and then Will and I started MEMBA like middle of 2015, and I started dating Emmy middle of 2015. So it was like out of the worst experience of my life, the universe gave me two gifts that literally are the most important things in my whole life. So I was lucky. And yeah, I was already kind of like, Emmy and I were hanging for a long time before that, but we kind of made it official then. And she actually went to Berkeley, and she is a operatically trained singer. She's so good at singing, it's insane, and like had such amazing body awareness. And like when she talks to a singing teacher, they're talking about stuff I can't even understand a little bit. But going to Berkeley kind of like made her feel a little like, I don't know, less than, because people are just so good. That Charlie Pluth was in her class, and Berkeley just bigs up whoever's the star of the class and whatever. So she ended up switching to music business, and then she was actually working at Sterling Sound, which is a mixing and mastering firm in New York, when I met her at the reception. So she was not liking it, and we started dating, and she saw me going for the member thing while studying. So my visa ran out, so I had to go to NYU just to be able to stay in the country. No way. So yeah, I did my master's at NYU and was starting member. And she was like, maybe I should do this too. And we were like, yes, you should absolutely do this. So we started writing songs together just for fun and for member things. And honestly, terrible songs. So many terrible songs together. It was really fun. And she eventually was like, okay, I'm going to quit this, do Flywheel, like be a fitness instructor, and do music. And Evan Giia was born like around 2016, 2017, so like a year or so after, or a year and a half after we started dating.
Was that with Westworld, or was that?
So her first big song was Westworld, but we had a few like Absolute Zero and Stepping Stones, like a couple of other tracks before that, some that are better not to be named. Yeah. And then Westworld was the first one. We got signed to a label, Foreign Family, and that song really just set her off.
What was it like to know that your girlfriend and now wife, you guys get to share some of your most successful songs together? Does that tribe feeling get stronger because of that, or?
No, really. There was this one moment, Capitol Hill block party, where she had me come out, and it was just outside. The whole block was packed, and everybody seemed to know the words. There's people hanging out the window, and it was one of the most incredible and surreal moments of my life. That moment really felt like, wow, like we're really doing this together. Otherwise, on a day-to-day, being creative with your partner is amazing, but also can be a little tumultuous if you're not
course.
careful. Because I'm also terribly honest. Like if I don't like something, I can't help it. I just have to say it.
Yeah.
And that could get tough. But luckily, we have Will, who's our peacekeeper in the middle. So our dynamic with the three of us works super well.
Will's getting well trained at this point.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's like, all right, you guys need to chill, and we're gonna sort this out. But the key is not letting it bleed over into our actual life outside of the studio. And we're good. Sometimes it happens, but overall we're pretty good about it. And it's because we all just care so much. You know? So it comes from us all wanting to make the best art that we can make. Kind of
naturally, right? And I'm sure that could also happen with like you and Will sometime to time, right?
Yeah.
And so, but what's special about it to me is like, most people, when they have an successor partner, is there to share the moment with them as a fan, right? Or as someone who's like, oh, wow, I watch you work so hard. But I'm assuming, tell me wrong, when you looked at her, you're like, we share this moment.
Yeah. No, it's pretty incredible. It's also like we can relate to tour life and like, when you need some time or when it's just like the little bits that maybe if your partner wasn't in it directly, maybe wouldn't understand. Be like, hey, like, why aren't you in touch? Or why isn't this happening? It's like, well, it's just been so hectic and, we really can empathize with each other. Yeah. So it really helps like our relationship. The one bummer is when we're both on tour, it can be like two ships in the night, but we try to make a 2-week rule where, we don't let it go beyond 2 weeks without seeing each other. So even if that means another flight, which is kind of the last thing you want to do when you're touring, but we've made that a thing and it really kind of helps things.
Yeah. So is that a rule you guys came up with after like, let's say a certain amount of time like this needs to happen? Yeah,
especially because she tours even more than we do. So, with her being gone and then her coming back and then me being gone, we were like, all right, we can't let this keep happening. So we go support each other all the time. And it's kind of fun because it's also like, like EDC, like I went to support her, but we also got to go on stage on one of the biggest places ever. So we're really lucky.
What's that like creating that structure with a partner when I'm assuming not a lot of people are in that position, or do you have people that you can actually give you advice and stuff like that as you were doing it at the same time?
No, so far there's not that many people that we've met that are doing it and successfully able to keep doing it because we've fully gone and got married, so we're locked in for life now. But yeah, I think the only other couple that I know that's married that's super steady and both doing music is Elephant Heart. I don't know if you've heard of them, but we're working on a few songs with them. They're amazing. And they seem to be able to rock it well. But yeah, generally, I feel like the odds aren't the best for like artist relationship couples. But I think we have a good thing going. Yeah.
And it's funny, I found out a big chunk of the story and actually for Aisha because she made a TikTok about your guys'
Thank God for her, because I'd never, like, Will and I just don't take the time to do that ever. And she's way better at the TikTok storytelling. So I feel like a lot of people have been learning about the story through her, so thank God she does that. Also, our wedding went viral, which was pretty ridiculous.
My girlfriend, I showed her, she's like, I've seen this already.
Really?
I was just like, and then I showed her the song, she's like, I already know this song. I'm like,
no way, dude.
And I do want to dive into those beats that you brought with us.
I want to show you a couple of things we've been cooking.
Yeah, let's jump into that real quick. So you said Punjabi beats, right?
Yeah, so we take blending styles kind of seriously over here, and Punjabi folk, like my mom's kind of half Punjabi and I have a good bit of Punjabi in me, and I feel like Punjabis know how to get parties going, you know what I mean? So we've been trying to get the Punjabi hip-hop vibe right for a bit, so we've been cooking on these 2 tracks. This one is a little more fleshed out. At the moment it's called Paji, working title, but yeah, check it out. I don't know I guess I'm just gonna
Is this the most you've ever dived into Punjabi music?
Yeah, definitely.
You got the Sidhu shirt on too.
Yeah, I got the Sidhu, dude, representing hard. I mean, like, this sound to me is just so hype. Yeah. And I feel like there's so much opportunity here, especially like living in America and having like American hip-hop beat standards, because I feel like in a lot of Punjabi folk stuff that's being made, the beats aren't like kind of blamming how I'd want them to. So we've been taking this seriously, and we add our own wonky. Break it down like. We add some sauce to that kind of thing. So I've never heard it the way I've kind of envisioned it in my head. So we've been quietly cooking on this for like a year or so, getting the sound right. And finally, I feel like this is starting to shape into something. So this one's called MUNDE Gone Mad. And it's featuring Jussie, who's a pretty amazing Punjabi folk OG. Yeah. And we sent him this beat. The mix is god-awful, so I apologize in advance. No, and he literally just mumbled it on his phone. So these vocals are mostly gibberish, but I just want to give you a taste.
How do you go about like finding these artists?
Dude, Jussie's amazing. I gotta hold on to this one's gas. But so he actually, I got connected to him through my dad. My dad went to a wedding in India and is obviously always bigging up. And I've told him, I'm like, you're on the hunt. Any Punjabi folk stuff, you gotta connect me immediately. So he actually met Jussie and they started chatting. And Jussie wanted me to work with his son, but I was like, Jussie, man, I want to work with you, mate, please. So he was like, okay, send me some beats. So we waited 3 months. We were cooking, and then this kind of one snapped in. And we sent it to him, and he immediately, I got a video of him in the car, just started again, just going off the minute he heard it. So he mumbled that out real quick, but it's really funny. Often when we work with Indian folk people, we're getting 6 bars and we're getting 2 bars. And we're just getting bits and pieces. Like the flow isn't like Western style, like 4s and 8s. And I guess maybe I've got conditioned to that way of listening. And that's kind of my expectation when I'm listening to the flow. So I just take it and cut up the syllables and make it into flows that feel a bit more, like Western framing. Yeah. And then I sent it back to him with all his mumbles and we're like, can you like double that part, add extra words here? So this is kind of just a sketch, of how it could be. So he's really into the flow now. So now he's rewriting lyrics and he's going to send some vocals over. And then I think what I'm going to do is delete everything and then have some US rappers go over it. And then blend it together, and try and get, I don't know if you've heard that song by Steel Bangles, Sidhu, called 47. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I love that track. That track really, we play it as our, in-between song before we play our shows every time. Yeah. And it just has such a, it has UK, it has Punjab, it has everything that I love in music in one. So kind of inspired by that, we were thinking of trying to make this, global Punjabi folk vibe,
Wow.
Spread the sound, because I feel like you can spread the sound further, when it's got more languages and
that's truly just your experience, right?
Yeah. It's also just how I grew up, so I just like variety.
Is this something that's going to be a part of the new project, do you think, or do you think this is an ancillary?
Dude, I don't even know, because we were actually the first one I played, the Paji track, that's featuring Samir Gill, who's an Australian Siddharji, and he's absolutely unbelievable. Got connected to him randomly through WhatsApp as well. But yeah, I don't know. We were actually going to go on tour in India, but I haven't got my visa. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been able to leave the country for over a year because the whole US government's backed up.
What citizenship do you have?
I'm technically British, which is very confusing. So I have an English UK passport, but I have OCI card, which is overseas Indian. So I can go to India anytime. Gotcha. But the problem is to stay in America. If I leave, I can't come back to America. So I'm actually, since I just got married, I applied for a green card. Nice. So till I get the green card, I can't leave. So It's just a lot of bullshit, but it's a big bummer because we actually had Sunburn booked. We were going to headline one of the 3rd stages, and we were going to drop this song as a warm up to the, coming to India finally, because we haven't actually got to go to India since For Aisha came out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just dying to see what it's like there now, and I also haven't seen my family. So I'm itching to go. The minute I get my green card approved, I'm going home and we're going to rip some shows, hopefully. So yeah, they were going to come out and then visa issues. So I don't quite know what's going to happen to it.
So right now you're still Brooklyn bound.
Yeah, still living out in Brooklyn.
Do you consider yourself how can I explain? Do you consider yourself a Brooklyn guy through and through now, or?
I'm never from where I'm at. That's how I feel. But Yeah, I was just thinking, I've spent 10 years in India, 10 years in England, and 10 years in America.
Yeah.
So I'm literally an even pie right now. So yeah.
What feels most like home to you? Or is that an unfair question to ask?
Oh, I guess home is just where I'm currently posted up. You know, it can change at any time. It's more about the people there, like where Emmy is probably home.
Mhm.
Yeah, so Brooklyn's feeling good right now.
Yeah.
I honestly love Brooklyn. So we just opened a new studio. It's called
Yes.
Antenna, and I would love to show you guys it somehow. But yeah, like we're gonna try and have other people come through, artist friends, and kind of make it into a community spot, do workshops. I really want to like work with other up and coming producers and connect with more DOST artists, you know, in New
Yeah.
York, and really make Antenna like a hub in the scene over here.
That'd be incredible, man. I mean, I know for me, this is like creating, you know, like a those community of like diasporic artists. Finding a hub in New York is a bit harder for a lot of people
Dude,
because,
Antenna, man, say no
you
more.
know,
Yeah,
so if like the Nintendo plug is here,
it's here,
the
dude.
Nintendo plug is here,
It's here. Yeah,
and it
it's
just opened.
literally we first day with all the speakers and everything set up was yesterday. So I'm itching after this. I'm running straight there and gonna get cooking. I'm really excited.
That's fire, man. I can't wait to see it, dude.
Yeah.
What part of the US was your favorite so far living here?
I do have a love for Brooklyn and New York.
Mhm.
I think it's just absolutely just one of the best. It's like a playground for young adults. You know,
Yeah.
you can just run it. Everything is walking distance. I don't want to live anywhere else. LA is tempting. I love the weather out there. There's almost too much to do, so much music stuff. But I think being posted up, kind of feeling like we're doing our own thing over here,
And
it's
it's
kind of nice.
easy to hop, skip, and jump. Hop to London, skip
Yeah,
to...
you can. It's true. You can get back to Europe and Asia way easier
Yeah.
from there.
That's fire. And I'm assuming, do you know how to drive? Because you were in big cities your whole life.
Dude, I failed my driving test mad times, but I got it, man. Yeah. I
How old
drove
were you when
here,
you got
I
it?
drove here. Oh, don't make me say it, dude.
That's
It's 29, brother.
29?
Yeah, dude.
Wait, didn't your wife
Dude,
make a
what's
TikTok
Will's
about this?
excuse though? He's not here. I usually try and pawn the thing onto him when he's here because
Wait, he doesn't have one?
no, he got it same time, but he was also, well, he's younger than me, so he was like
Yeah.
26, 27. But yeah, man, like for me, it was because I went to uni here. I had my driving license in India, and then I just never bothered. It's just like New York, you don't need it. Uni, you don't really need it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to finally be mobile.
Wait, he didn't have a car in Portland? He just...
Dude, no, he just chilled, man.
Just
I don't
chilled,
know.
made
And then he
music.
came to New York and was just posted up, so he got the New York excuse as well. But yeah, the boys were not mobile for a long time. We had our homies driving us to every show.
Yeah.
They kind of liked it though, because they got to, you know, pull up free, and we were just like having a good time. But yeah, now
They can't be mad when they get GL'd, right?
yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Well, man, you two are creating this world wave, hitting every different touch point of the earth, like you're saying, an Australian Punjabi person, making music from London to New Delhi to Brooklyn. Thank you for coming on, dude. Seriously, it's a pleasure.
No, you're doing amazing things for the culture, man. I really appreciate you having me. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, man. Do you have any words to send off with?
Thank you guys. If you've ever listened to a member song in any way, shape, or form, like because of you, you know, we get to do this and it's not lost on me. I know how short life is, and getting to do this means everything. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Appreciate
Yeah.
you for coming on. Cool.